What is up, North Koreans? This is your boy Douglas alongside my friend John. We are the Skeptical Enthusiasts. We are here to bring you a company you're probably well familiar with in your sweatshops.
Oh yeah. Oh, all the
All the
sweatshops.
sweatshops.
Yep.
It's a.
Should have closed the voice recorder earlier. Guess
I
I'll
guess I'll
die.
die.
Why are we still
Just
here
to
just to
suffer.
suffer? Anyway.
This is a company many of you probably might have heard of. It's called Apple. Uh,
Sponsored by Squarespace.
Sponsored by Squarespace. Not sponsored. Please do not sue us.
Yeah, I mean the Apple website's sponsored by
Oh, yeah.
Squarespace, which I don't think it is.
I wouldn't be surprised. So
I'll give them. It's a pretty dope website.
it is.
By the
It
way.
looks
It's
really
quite
nice.
well designed.
I'm like,
but they're worth $1 trillion. So
they kind of can afford that. We're here to talk about some of their quote unquote best phones they have here. Now I'm not a phone expert. I'm not even a tech expert at all. This is my buddy here, John, is a tech expert. However, I am a consumer. And I'm a consumer who likes to buy phones because I need a phone, right?
Yeah.
And Apple seems to be so disconnected with the middle class Americans
BitConnect. Okay.
that they're really just like taking all their phones and make them way too pricey for anyone to be able to afford.
Okay, so where are we starting here? XR?
I want to start with the XR because this is what really makes me upset.
XR. Learn more or buy?
Because buy takes you over to the price. Now, according to what John Tripp,
Oh, that's a lot of colors.
Yeah,
that's a
of
lot
colors.
of damage. I'm buying it right
Yeah,
now.
might
You
as
see
well.
that orange?
It's already a lot of
That's
colors.
one girthy orange.
So according to John right here, he told me earlier that this phone is supposed to be the budget phone for people who can't afford.
The more budget
The
phone.
more, but look at
The more budget phone.
the price is $750. You're sitting here and telling me.
Where are you? Hold on. Are you sure
Yeah,
about
it
that?
is.
Are you? All right. Where is this?
It's on
Unlocked and sim free.
Buy iPhone
Choose your
X.
finish. I want the girthy. Wait, are you on iPhone X?
I'm on iPhone
so
XR.
for 64 that name is stupid. Okay. iPhone 10 RR.
By the way, that's a ridiculous name. iPhone 10 RR. You're making yourself a little more edgy than that.
All right, hold on. Is it X or 10?
XR.
XR?
Yeah.
I'm going 10R. I'm going 10R.
Okay. All right.
I'm going with it.
So this phone, apparently, is supposed to be a budget phone. $750.
Are you sure about that?
Now here's the thing. I don't know about you, but I'm a middle class American, a college student. I don't know anyone who can afford
Press A to America.
who can afford a $700 50 phone. I mean, they can probably count out the cost of their bank account, but this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You want to throw a budget phone at us and tell us you're going to sell at $750? I do not believe that any Apple employee can look me in the eyes and tell me this phone is a budget phone. I can't. That's ridiculous. I'm not going to buy a budget phone that's $750.
All right. To be fair, before you go down the meme hole too far, I don't think they say budget anywhere in here. But if you have a lineup of 3 phones, and that's including the 10, the 10s, the 10s Plus or Max.
No.
Okay, don't get me started on that.
I'm about to.
But I'm calling them all their own phone because they're all at different price points. The 10R would be the cheapest, thus implying it's much more budget oriented than the others. I don't believe Apple would call any of their products budget because that would not do. Whatever.
Yeah, they wouldn't call it budget, but it seems to be implying that since this is this is like the cheapest one for the people who can't quote unquote afford $1,000 phone. But I'm not going to spend $750 on a phone that's freaking expensive.
And it's not even. I mean, alright, I'm going back a second. No. Wrong. Don't do that to me. Okay, there we go. Alright, so learn more. What's the learn more? Brilliant in every way. Are you sure about that? All screen design? Okay, what's the notch and what's the black around the screen then? What do you call that? Because that's not screen to me.
Way. All screen design. Longest battery life ever in an iPhone by like maybe 2 minutes.
Probably, yeah. Fastest performance? What processor is it?
On most secure with Face ID.
A12 Bionic.
I wonder how secure that Face ID would be. I wonder how much that Face ID would...
Probably secure enough, but ultimately they had to give it up to make it be fast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Tap to wait. The largest LCD ever on an iPhone. There's your problem right there. Because it's an LCD. That's the problem. That's what makes it worse than the other iPhones. It's an LCD. The reason Samsung phones have such gorgeous... Can I see the one thing without it? Okay, sorry. The website design's triggering me. I don't care if it's the largest LCD, because LCD is not as good as OLED. That's the problem. Because OLED can turn off each individual pixel, so it has, relatively speaking, perfect black levels.
Okay.
The contrast ratio of an LCD, like a good LCD, is 3,000 to 1. OLEDs, you're talking 100,000 or 1,000,000 to 1.
Oh my god!
Like, it's a huge difference.
Oh my gosh, that's a big difference. It's
really
ridiculous.
And you notice, if you can't tell, like, you know the black bezels that are around most screens?
Yeah.
If you can't tell the difference between a dark scene on the screen and the bezel, it's probably an OLED.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
OLEDs do have some downsides, but they're only using these wide-angle lens, portrait mode, 1080p HD video up to 60 FPS. Okay. 4K video. That's a lot of damage.
It's ridiculous.
You need 1080p 60 FPS on your selfie camera.
Why do you need that on a camera? Most
on the selfie camera.
Okay. Most professional photographers and most professional cinematographers don't rely on a smartphone.
No. All professional cinematographers.
All professionals. The biggest ones are using the iPhone X, obviously. But maybe if you're an amateur, okay, I get that.
For an amateur using your phone, it's been said about YouTube, it's been said about photography, your best tool is your phone.
Yeah, but...
Because if you have a decent phone, you can record, your face, you can record a given subject of a video at decent enough quality to get the point across.
But once you reach more deeper into photography or cinematography, you're going to move on to things that are not smartphones. You're going to move on to something that's a lot better.
Absolutely. Because, okay, the reason, so for the rear camera, it's a 1.8 aperture, wide angle. Sure,
yeah.
Who cares? The thing is, with apertures, so the aperture, the smaller the number is, the larger the aperture. They're doing like that weird kind of inverted crap. So if you have a 1.0 aperture, it's like a pretty large aperture. The problem is, the larger the aperture, the more light it can take in, but you lose quality and sharpness on the photo itself.
Okay.
Generally speaking. The thing is, most DSLRs and good cameras have adjustable apertures. That is a technology that is very new and requires a lot of space that you really can't do that effectively on a phone usually. The S9 and I believe the S9 Plus. I know the S9 Plus. I think the Samsung Galaxy S9 also has it, where they do have an adjustable aperture, which is
It's pretty nice to have an adjustable aperture. I think
the only one that does it. But that's the thing, is that you just can't. Either you give up quality in the day, or you see at night, kind of thing. Like if it doesn't work. You need more space to have good cameras like that. If you want to do good low light photos, your camera's gonna look like crap during the day, relatively speaking. If you're dealing with a smartphone. There's just sheer limitations that no photographer is going to use a smartphone.
Yeah, exactly.
No real photographer.
No professional.
If you have a $1,000 phone, it works. It'll work for photography, but it's ultimately not ideal.
It's not ideal. If you're an amateur, I can see that, but it's just like Apple's trying to make their phone appear as if it's like used by the professionals. Like
it's not. That's the problem.
No,
it's not.
I know In fact, even amateur photographers usually end up buying a camera early on.
Oh yeah, because I mean, I just about everybody in existence, family member, has like some camera. That's the thing. There's always some DSLR that it's just like, hey, does anybody have a camera? And it's like, yeah, you can always find one, or you can spend like $200 and probably get a camera that's better than the one in your smartphone. That's the thing.
Also, I like
even if your smartphone's $1,000, because it's a space issue.
yeah.
It always is.
Also, I like to point out that at the bottom of this page it says free delivery, as if that makes up for everything else. Wow, free delivery! Let me just slap down $700. Clearly, this is a steal.
Clearly.
Here's as a Apple user, I have the iPhone SE.
Yeah, we are both technically Apple users.
I find
not by choice for me personally.
I find this phone to be pretty okay. Like at some point, I do want to upgrade it, but for me, it's cheap, and I don't mind that it's cheap because I don't want to spend crap ton of money on a phone, right?
Yeah.
So I don't mind that shit because I'm not going to use it to take photos. I don't ever take photos. I never take videos. I just like to have a phone that I can scroll through Snapchat or Instagram, or I can call people or I can FaceTime. That's fun to do because I don't care. I'm just like your typical smartphone user. I don't want to slap down $1,000 on a phone when I'm not going to use most of its features, right?
Yeah, because they're such useless features, by the way.
It does.
Oh yeah. We put in, really advanced facial tracking technology so you can have good emojis that, like, follow your face. It's like,
I'm like, no one's going to use that. I barely use emojis. Like, sometimes I do, but it's just, it's like they're always pointing out all this crap about the iPhone. It's like, who are you trying to market this phone to? Who are you trying to market it to? Are you trying to market to a mainstream audience? Because you're not doing a good job at it. You're isolating most citizens out here.
Yeah, clearly it's working for them though. That's what scares me.
It's working. I think part of it's working is because they have a lot of fanboys who just jump on the iPhone.
Yeah, they buy it no matter what it is, no matter if it's good, no matter if there's a better option, and no matter if they can afford it or not. It doesn't matter. They'll figure out a way to buy it.
And
that's the problem. And then they'll blame themselves if something goes wrong too.
They're so blind to the laziness that Apple is really having, and it sucks because Apple used to be really innovative.
I still love that old rainbow.
Yeah, I used
Apple
to love it
logo.
too, and it's upsetting because I really liked Apple. I really like their phones. I find that I might switch to Samsung soon, but I really like Samsung because it was a lot more user friendly with how you scroll through the phone itself. It's a lot more user friendly than a Samsung. But I'm actually I'm willing to learn how to use a Samsung if Apple keeps pulling this crap off, right? Because this is ridiculous.
The thing with Android is there's competition, and anybody with any ounce of intelligence knows that competition is good for the consumer.
Yeah,
it always has been, always will be. It's just inherently better for the consumer. If you want iOS, your option is Apple. And Apple can make their phones as expensive as they want, and nobody can dispute the value because, well, who else are you going to go to?
Exactly.
That's the problem. If you want an iOS phone,
you're going to get
it's Apple.
Exactly.
Because nobody else uses iOS. That's the problem.
It's disappointing.
It really is. Okay, iOS's standby battery life, this is something you don't even think about. But the standby battery life, oh my gosh, it's terrifying. You lose like 3% after having your phone sit for 24 hours.
Oh yeah.
On Android, you're talking like losing 20% if it stays overnight.
Yeah, iPhones.
And that's on larger batteries. Like, it's ridiculous, the standby battery. But then again, they know exactly what's on the App Store. They develop the entire operating system. It's not Android. It doesn't have to work on everything. It only has to work on 3 phones a year.
Yeah, pretty much. I hate the fact, too, that they constantly release 3 phones every single year. It's like you constantly have to feel as if you have to upgrade to a new phone like every 3 years.
Yeah. Because The last one's not good
No,
enough.
it's not good enough. You need a new one, and eventually
It's never good enough.
the company's gonna be like, "Oh, by the way, we're shutting down your phone. You need to buy a new one."
By the way, it's just... Blip, my phone.
Are you serious? Are you sure about that?
Are you sure about... Why are we
What?
still
Just
here?
to suffer.
Just to suffer. Alright, let's move on to some Macs
Oh,
now.
ooh,
Click in the
ooh,
Mac.
I could really
Oh,
rant.
whoa! That's a big oh, whoa.
Okay, so...
I clicked the Mac tab. Where are we going first? Where are we going for? Also, Air's at the top.
I went to... What's the one? MacBook Pro? That one that's bloody... That's one that's really expensive?
Yeah, the iMac Pro is the expensive one. This one's supposed to be a professional workstation.
A professional workstation.
Like, a workstation. You're talking like 3D modeling, CAD, like all that kind of stuff. Blender, the really big deal softwares that will destroy your computer.
And
that's what this is built to handle.
And this is
not photo editing.
And it's okay for it to be $4,000.
5,000.
Are you serious? For
Are you sure about that? I'm looking at the iMac Pro, not the Mac Pro. There's a difference.
Yeah,
I'm looking at the
iMac Pro right now.
Okay, good. The Mac Pro is a whole other meme hole to go down. Regardless.
Oh my gosh, that's ridiculous.
All right, let's click configure. Okay.
Where's configure? Are you on? I'm on the iMac Pro right now.
iMac Pro, it's the blue button. It's like the blue.
Yeah.
Scroll the whole way to the top of the page.
Yep. iMac Pro.
Yeah, configure. All right, cool. Okay, so customize your iMac Pro. The base is 3.2 gigahertz, 8-core Xeon W. Xeon W's existence is a whole nother rabbit hole to go down, but unfortunately, you don't have knowledge in that kind of realm.
I don't, unfortunately.
Oh well. 32 gigabytes of RAM, ECC. ECC is important to note there because the ECC stands for error correcting code, I believe.
Yeah.
That is a good feature to have because if an error happens in your RAM, it will correct itself so you don't lose, I don't know, whatever video you're working on at the time or something.
Yeah.
That's a server grade feature that is very, very helpful to have. It's useful.
Mm-hmm.
And then Radeon Pro Vega 56 with 8 gig of HBM2. That's pretty decent graphics card. Terabyte SSD. That's fine. But if you're doing professional work, I don't think a terabyte would be enough. That's the thing.
Okay, here's my problem with this computer. This is supposed to be like professional, right? So if you're an engineer, right? I know. Why would I spend $5,000 on this computer?
Also, it can be optioned up to 13.2 thousand.
Why would I spend so much money on this computer when there's so many other better computers that can pretty much do similar things? My brother had his own laptop when he was a mechanical engineer at college. He had a laptop that he used for 3D modeling, and it worked very, very well. And I'm pretty sure it was a lot more cheaper than these really expensive computers, right?
I'm sure it would. However, okay. Where's Xeon W in the iMac Pro? I want to find 8-core. I know it's. Oh my god! Thanks for nothing, Apple. You're really helpful. Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that?
I also like to point out that they have 1080p FaceTime HD camera, and I'm not sure why that would matter for this.
Yeah, I got nothing. Are you
sure about that?
Sure. What? Just tell me what CPU it is. Oh, for God's sake. Or don't. That's fine too. I didn't want to know.
At this point, might as well not, right?
Alright, Intel Arc. Let's do it right. No, not Lark. Jump. Okay. Select your product. Server products. I'm trying to find the exact CPU that's used in this. I imagine it's probably in the $800 range.
Oh, yeah.
Around there. Alright, you know what? Whatever. That's too much effort. Anyway, there are some genuinely interesting features here. Like, you can get up to 128 gig of RAM. I think. Where is it? Yeah. 128 gig of RAM. That is a lot of RAM.
Yeah, this crazy amount. Oh my
that's
gosh.
quite cutting edge, but it's not something that hasn't been done before
Yeah.
by any means. It's far from it too. It's just
so expensive.
I don't know. It's such a ridiculous amount of money for something that
Other companies have done themselves.
there is. Does it come with 10 gigabit networking or don't tell me, that's fine too. That's cool. 10 gig Ethernet. Okay. So keep in mind when it says 10 gigabit or GB Ethernet, that's gigabits, which is actually only about a gigabyte per second. That's not fit. A gigabyte per second is still pretty ridiculous though to begin with, and that's the kind of thing that's a genuine pro-oriented feature right there. That's helpful because if you're talking about rendering on this or something and sending it out to an external server, having the extra bandwidth is very helpful. Like having that kind of speed is useful.
Okay, yeah, but
a lot of the other features, they're just not...
It doesn't make up for the fact that it's just too expensive for a computer that has been done before. Is why I'm getting at it.
And I mean, I don't know. It's not you can option this up to $13,000, and when you're optioning up to $13,000,
I don't know a company who
you can beat this. You can destroy this for $13,000.
Yeah.
Whatever this can offer, 128 gig of RAM, an 18-core process. 18-core processor puts my computer to shame. It puts everyone's computer to shame. 18 cores is absurd. That's probably a $3,000 processor, like, alone.
That's insane.
It's not unbeatable. That's the thing. Firstly, you can go until 18 core. Let's try and find it. Price in India. I don't care about the price.
Price in India. Oh, it makes it so much better.
No. Intel 18 core. Are you gonna show me? Stop. You big hack.
Also,
you big hack.
I would like to point out too, since we have a little less time, the MacBook, the 12-inch MacBook, is
I'm trying to find the exact
$1,300, which is
that's pretty snazzy.
It's snazzy, which is basically but it comes in 3 different colors: space gray, gold, and silver. Oh, that's so much better. And not to mention, silver and space gray are basically the same color, but silver is slightly lighter.
It's slightly more silver.
And not to mention that
are you sure about
this computer is $300 more expensive than an iPhone, than their iPhones. That's ridiculous. That no phone should be that close.
That's a very large oof right there. What CPU? Oh my gosh.
I'm just not really.
This is 6142. Okay, I can't find the exact CPU. I know it's not custom made for it, but I can't find the exact one. Regardless, it'd be probably about $3,000. So, and what does it cost from Apple to upgrade to the 18 core? $2,400.
Oh my gosh, that's still a lot of money.
That's not overpriced for an 18 core. That's the problem. I mean, you're genuinely getting some stuff. If you prefer working on Mac OS X, I believe.
I guess.
Then that's not something you can just substitute. You can't make Windows into Mac OS X. Well, you can't. Okay, whatever. You can do a lot of things in Windows, but if you prefer working on that kind of platform, if you like the layout of it and all that, it's
still for $13,000.
It could be useful.
I mean, I guess it could be, but I don't know. If I was a company, like an engineering company, I don't know if I would slap down $13,000 for 30 employees. That'd be a lot of money.
Well, and there's better options.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Also, I mean, in those kinds of scenarios, you're probably not even talking getting multiple systems to begin with. it's very likely that you would be setting up, like, you know, a grid. Like,
Mm-hmm.
3 systems that are chained out to every monitor and keyboard in the house.
Mm-hmm.
To virtualization's own thing. It's just, you probably wouldn't be spending, you know, like, 50, well, I guess more like $500,000 on it, but still.
I don't know who Apple is trying to market to. It seems like
they're targeting the server grade consumer, the prosumer as it's called.
Okay.
But they're not doing a very good job.
I mean, clearly they're doing something because they're like $1 trillion right now.
That doesn't mean they're doing it right to the pro market. It just means there's a bunch of sheep that buy their iPhones.
Yeah, I mean, I see that. That's the issue. The problem I'm seeing is that they used to market a lot of their phones to the middle class, but it seems like they're just pulling the rug under them and saying, bye-bye, we want to market to more rich people. And
well, they absolutely are. Well, they want to get every single bit of money they can out of the middle class.
I mean, no one's going to sit down. I mean, okay, I shouldn't say no one because there are clearly some pretty blind fanboys out there, but I'm not. The fact is this might be my last iPhone because I'm not going to spend $700. I'm not even going to spend $1,000 on an iPhone. That's way too expensive, and that's such a waste of money for so little features that I use. Right? What I do is I use it for Instagram, Snapchat, I call, I text, I FaceTime. I can do that with any other phone at much cheaper rate.
Oh, yeah, you can do that kind of crap on a Windows phone, but
I might as well at this point.
That's the thing. It's just, and everyone's buying it, but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
It just doesn't. They're not using the features. They can't tell the difference between an LCD and an OLED display because they're like, ooh, it's pretty, it makes colors. Fantastic.
Yeah, that's the problem.
It just doesn't matter. That's my problem. I want people to spend extra money on things that they can actually enjoy and not just because it's more expensive. If you need a $5,000 workstation to do all your CAD, Blender, all that kind of stuff, by all means, spend the $5,000.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't cheap out. Don't cheap out and end up hating the system. Mm-hmm. It's not worth it. But don't spend $6,000 just because you can.
Exactly. Don't spend $6,000 if you can, and especially if you're a middle class person who probably knows as much about as I know about phones. Don't buy an iPhone. They're getting too expensive.
It's not. There's better options.
There's a lot better options. And I'm upset because I used to really like iPhones. I thought that they're pretty. They're really user friendly. They're really fast. But
oh yeah.
But now they're just becoming so expensive, and they're adding so little features to them that make them worth it. You know, and
yeah,
I'm not.
Nobody uses
exactly
them.
No.
Nobody uses those features that they're paying for, and it's like, why? Why have the features?
I don't see who else would use the emoji feature, like the new emoji feature.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that use that feature.
I mean, I can imagine there are probably a lot of people that use the feature, but over time, I imagine some people are just going to get bored of it and stop using it, you know?
Yeah, over time, you're talking like 10 minutes and
you're done. And at that point, it's just like, what's the point of the phone?
That was worth $800 extra.
That was worth putting me in debt?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I don't know, it's just... That's the problem. It's not worth it for most people, but they don't seem to see that. And the thing is, Apple has a very good thing going. They have, their software engineers are the best.
Oh yeah.
You can't find anyone better than that.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, the reason Apple does a lot of things better than Android does, I don't know, a lot of things, maybe a bit of a nervous statement, but the reason it does some things way better than Android, like the standby battery life, it's because they have power over everything that happens in the OS.
Yeah.
And if Android was made... If Google is like, hey, okay, smell you later, Samsung and Huawei and OnePlus, we're not giving you Android. No more Android for you guys. We're going to put it on the Pixel, only the Pixel, and we're going to make it fantastic. Google could do the same thing. Because when you have a very locked down environment, you can make it a lot better.
Exactly.
So it's really not that impressive what they do given the circumstances. Because if you have control over just about every variable, who cares?
Yeah, that's exactly what a monopoly is. You know, once you have a monopoly, you don't have to worry about.
You don't have to try.
You don't have to try it. Which is exactly why monopolies were banned, because a crap like this where you can just make a product so freaking expensive and put so little effort into it.
Yeah, I mean, I guarantee they had this iPhone X design like 5 years ago.
I'm sure.
Just like, well, we have the iPhone 6, so that design's pretty good. Let's remake it for 4 years, and then if somebody needs something, groundbreaking, we'll sell them the iPhone 10.
Mm-hmm. And exactly, the thing about it is that they continue to like inch it up more and more.
Oh, it's so crazy.
It's to the point where an iPhone XR is considered cheap. A $700 50
$750.
And the reason why it's so quote unquote cheap is because they marketed up the regular phones up to be like $1,000, right? Which I think that you got this impression that, oh wow, the iPhone XR is so cheap, I want to spend my money on that. And my thought maybe is that's who Apple is marketing it for. They're making their new phones appear so expensive, so everyone else is buying a $700 phone. And it's like, wow, I save so much.
And it's a win-win. Either they sell a $1,300 phone or a $700
It's a win-win right there. And it's ridiculous because it's so manipulative. It's a manipulative tactic there.
And it works.
It works.
It works. I mean, imagine if Samsung did anything that Apple's doing. It's like, who cares? Nobody would buy.
No, nobody would.
Somehow Apple has just created this culture of they buy everything.
Exactly. And it's not only that, but it's also a lot of fear mongering. It's like all your friends, peer pressure. All your friends have an iPhone. It's like, well, you should have an iPhone because we all got iPhones. And suddenly, you got these people who are like buying iPhones because they want to fit in with the crowd. Like, slap down $700 and suddenly, oh, I'm the cool kids now. Like it's there's nothing wrong with having a Samsung. I mean, I feel like.
But then again, like we talked about in a previous recording, it's the people's problem.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not Apple's problem for making a $700 phone that everyone buys. It's the people's problem for buying it.
Exactly.
So ultimately, we should be blaming the people that buy and blame themselves when it breaks and not blame Apple because it's their fault.
I would say it should be a 50-50 because, yes, it is the people's fault for encouraging this behavior, but at the same time, it's Apple's fault because Apple knows what they're doing, and a lot of this is greed.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it works.
It works, and
it works so well.
It's like
$1 trillion.
Yeah, $1 trillion, and it clearly works. But part of it, yes, it is Apple's fault because whether or not it works shouldn't matter. It's a lot of this. I mean, yes, what they can do is legal, but it's just not ethical. Just shoving out crap and overpricing it. They know what they're doing, and
absolutely, they know exactly what they're doing. They know that it's just like, well, people are gonna buy it as long as it's not too expensive or too horrible.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be good enough as long as it can use Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, those kind of things. If it can do social media, that's good enough. Add some stupid emojis in, everyone's gonna buy it.
Yeah,
and they do.
They do, and they eat it up as if it's like the new technology. It's like, no, it's not. It's pretty much the last phone. Really they're not putting any effort into this.
Yeah, it's the last phone, give or take a couple of pixels extra around the screen. It's like, who cares?
Yeah, I know.
It just doesn't matter.
I know Steve Jobs, when he was around, he put a lot of effort into the phones. Like, as far as I know, he cared a lot about the phones. He wanted to make them groundbreaking.
And it seems like he overworked his employees a lot, though, too.
He did, which...
There's a balance. As usual, there's always a balance.
But now it's something you got... Once Tim Cook comes along, he's just like, all right, listen, I don't care what Steve Jobs did. Let's just push out crap.
It's time to make money.
It's time to make money. It works, but it's sad.
You know that ingenuity? Yeah, that was fun. Let's make money.
Let's make money. And a lot of these major companies, it's a sad thing because like a lot of these companies where they started from their founders who worked their butt off to get the company off the ground. And now suddenly these modern day CEOs and CFOs are just like, whatever, let's just shove crap into it.
We'll be good. Yeah.
Well,
we'll be fine. They'll buy it anyway.
Buy it. But on that note, we should probably start wrapping things up.
Yeah, it's 30.
Yeah.
30, 30, Ooh, that's
a mega oof. But yeah, thank you for everyone in North Korea watching. Continue making great phones. Continue shipping them off to the Western world. But
Samsung's Korean, not North Korean, but Korean.
Korean. Samsung is Korean. Yeah, that's right. Samsung is Korean. But like always, thanks for watching, and tune in next week.